Hello, everyone, and welcome to a second edition of the five-star Joshi Q&A here on the Fight Game Media Network YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on the podcast, then I appreciate all of your support through the past year, really. And I'm happy that you continue to listen to me on the podcast form. But this is the second edition. I love doing these. I've only done one, but it was one of my, real favorite additions to my content. So we're gonna keep doing these. Like I said, bi-weekly, every other week, we're gonna keep doing some. We're gonna do some live shows, maybe some watch-alongs. We're gonna have fun with it. We're gonna have fun with it. But right here, right now, we're gonna start off with the Q&A, and we have a lot of questions. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 questions for me to answer. Uh, you know, Stardom focused, Joshi focused, a lot of good ones to go through. So instead of wasting your time, let's get started. Starting off with at Lord Seekus, the question was, with the high speed division being quite small, which outsiders would you like Stardom to bring in for some title shots? Do you think people on the roster who should also do high speed? Uh, based off outside of Stardom, instantly comes to mind Miyu Momono. I mean, if you listen to the podcast, if you follow me on Twitter, this is my answer. This is obviously going to be high up on my list. In Azumi versus Miyu Momono match, when Mio is healthy, could be a match of the year contender. It could be truly amazing. We saw them scrap up a little bit in that tag team match in Marvelous last year that also featured Meho Shizuki. By the way, she would be another name I'd love to see in there if she, ever came back to wrestling. We did see her and Azumi scrap up once before, and I'm sure they would be great again. Some other names that I thought of, some could be a little outside the box, but Riko Kaiju of Seedling, I think she would be a great option to come in and get a title shot. Uh, Cannon of Sendai Girls, she's still technically a rookie, but she's got some high speed to her. She got some impactful moves. I think that'd be really entertaining. And Maria of Marvelous, she popped in my mind because while she's not necessarily a high speed wrestler, I think she's really good at doing high speed and bringing it in that type of atmosphere. I think she would have a great match with someone like Azumi. So those are the ones I came up with. And then on the second part of the question, do I think anyone on the roster could join the division? I mean, Tekla, I think for a lot of us, is instantly at the top, right? Because she's done high speed before in her time in Ice Ribbon. And now without the SWA World Championship, it frees her up. It frees her up to face Azumi and possibly beat Azumi. That's instantly one that I think has to happen sooner rather than later. You keep going up and down the roster. I think Momo Kogo in time could do it. She's not the fastest, but I think she could challenge for it. I think she'd work well. Yeah, I think those are the main 2 I thought of. It would be a lot of excitement to get them in there, and I mean, that's the beauty of high speed though, right? Is if you have an ace of that division like you do with Azumi, you can make almost anyone work that isn't, slow and bad. But those are the couple that I came up with, and I think those would be some great title matches. Obviously, there's more options out there, but certainly that's where I am going to. On to the next question from Daza Loves Movies. What are the worst takes that Western fans have about Joshi? I think a lot of us see the bad takes, and some of us Joshi fans don't want Joshi to, I think people are very protective of Joshi because of some comments, by Western fans. I mean, what are the worst takes? I think just the xenophobia that some people have towards it. And, we saw it a few weeks ago with when, Dave Meltzer tweeted out that Stardom has the best women's wrestling in the world. By the way, that's 100% true. It's not even a question. And people just started taking terrible comments. Oh, Japan loves you. Blah, blah, like, come on. Come on. I think there is a certain amount of terrible terribleness to these fans that just can't accept that Joshi wrestling is great. And you have Disco Inferno over there who's never done anything, fighting with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's like, listen, you saw one clip, you watched the rest of this match. They did things you could never do because that's the truth. Joshi wrestling is fantastic, and there's so many styles to it. I think the just assumption that because they dress up a certain way, in bright colors, they can't go. They can't go. Come on. Come on. They can go as great as anyone. Like, I literally have been tweeting like all day that Saya Kamatani might be the best in the world right now in all of pro wrestling. But oh, she can't go? Like, come on. People don't want to accept that Joshi wrestling is great. And there are people out there that just don't want to accept that Japanese wrestling is great. It's stunning to me. But when it comes to the worst takes from Western fans, it's mostly a lot of them just not giving it a chance. And, we saw it with Maki Ito when she showed up on AEW. She got, terrible remarks, but overall, those terrible remarks were the ones raised up, obviously, because they were the loudest. But so many people loved her. So many people are clamoring for her to come back that it's almost like we shouldn't let those matter. We got to let those go. Those people don't deserve our time that are making these terrible takes. These wrestlers deserve all the respect because they put so much into their craft. And I just think it's bull that anyone disrespects these wrestlers because I really don't know. I really don't know. It's a shame, but to me, Joshi Wrestling remains some of the best in the entire world, maybe the best. And I think people should continue to support it more and more as they continue to grow Stardom and all of Joshi once again. Next question at Jordan Patu underscore Patu. Which Stardom wrestler would you like to see in TJPW? I think this is like you're kind of attacking me. Jordan, we've had good discussions about my feelings on TJPW. There's some problems that I don't enjoy, but you look at the entire Stardom field right now. Who could you pick up, plop into TJPW? They'd not only be a star, but they'd work in the TJPW style. Obviously, you have matches against a Miyu Yamashita. You have matches against Maki Ito, Yuka Sakazaki, Mizuki, Shogo Nakajima, Rika Tatsumi, so on and so forth. Who could you pick up and place there, and they would be great? Hmm. Hmm. And you specifically said my Sakurai doesn't count. I think that was some sense of can I just get rid of someone and not have to deal with them? Funny. I think the wrestler that would work really well in there, believe it or not, I I mean, I was just Tam Nakano. I know the past. I know the past, but Tam Nakano now compared to years ago, literally 2 years ago, really. You wanna talk about Tam Nakano. She is one of the best in the world now. She is, and I think if you were to plop her into current TJPW, her style is so story driven. It's so story driven, it's so emotional. That's what I'm told is the beauty of TJPW. So, If I'm getting Maki Ito versus Tam Nakano or Miyu Yamashita versus Tam Nakano, I should be excited because that could be a match of the year. And I want to give credit to TJPW. When they do things right, they do them great. That Miyu Yamashita versus Maki Ito match last year, Wrestle Princess 2, I will keep talking about it. Yes, the outcome could have made it maybe the match of the year if you change that. But overall, it's one of the best matches of the year. TJPW can bring it. And if you put a Tam Nakano into that, in that playground of sorts, and you have her face the likes of all of those top stars, I think she could have a really good run there. So, great question. And I actually answered it with who's good that could go there, not my Sakurai. I appreciate the laugh. At Sandre Bjorn. Do you think pay-per-view prices hurt the growth of a company's fan base? If so, how would you fix it? Don't. I don't because if it's a hot ticket, if it's a hot commodity, people are gonna buy it. And if this is about Stardom, and they have so many pay-per-views, and they charge about 35 US, I think, per pay-per-view. Um, they can do that because people are buying it, right? And if you don't want to pay that, you can wait a couple days and it'll be on Stardom more. I think pay-per-view prices don't hurt the growth. To me, is if you continuously put on a great product that people are willing to talk about, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. People want to see Stardom. So if they want to see Stardom, they're going to go out of their way and pay to see Stardom. A lot we've been spoiled. We've been spoiled in wrestling with all these streaming services that if you sign up, you get their pay-per-views for free. Stardom doesn't work that way. You do get them for free, but not live. I think you can charge as much as you want as long as people keep buying. And I know for a fact people keep buying these Stardom pay-per-views because Stardom has the best consistency pay-per-view wise in wrestling. In wrestling. AEW doesn't count. They have 4 pay-per-views a year. In wrestling, no one does it better than Stardom. You know, on this episode that if you listen to it this week, me and Parker talked about how Fukuoka Goddess Festival was another great show, and it was considered a B show, but it was fantastic. And if you're going to keep doing that, people are going to buy. So no, I don't think it necessarily hurts the growth, but if you would fix it, obviously the streaming service is one way to go. Maybe offer a 2-for-1 if you're having multiple pay-per-views in a month. There's ways to go about it, but if it's working, you don't offer solutions. You just keep going with it because people want to see it. Ash likes Puro with 2 questions for me. Appreciate you, my man. What would be your Princess of Princess Championship match for Cyber Festival? All signs point to it being Shoko Nakajima versus Yuka Sakazaki. Had I had my choice long ago, before we had Shoko Nakajima win the title, it would be the rematch between Miyu Yamashita and Maki Ito. That would have been it. Whether Miyu Yamashita was still champion, Maki Ito was champion, that would have been it. No questions asked. That would have been it. But if we have to go believably with Shoko as champion, honestly, yeah, Yamashita makes sense. But I think you need to change it up. I think Rika Tatsumi would be a good one. I think Mizuki would be a good one. One of the non-pillars, but I think Rika Tatsumi is fantastic. I know a lot of others feel she's fantastic, so why pick against her? I think she would get that spot if I got to say. And the other question, who do you think Arisa Nakajima should drop her title to from Seedling, obviously, the Beyond the Sea Championship? Well, we have an interesting situation, obviously, with Seedling, is that they have such a small roster, and Nakajima did just win the title. Yoshiko instantly popped into my brain when I read this question. Now, who else would you give it to? Veni is obviously an option that I would love. I thought her title reign initially from last year didn't get nearly as much shine as it should have. Um, yeah, so I'd go Venny or Yoshiko, because they're always around, or Miyuki Takase because I always am going to sing the praises of Miyuki Takase until she gets all the belts, all the wins, all the success, and all the praise because Miyuki Takase is freaking amazing. Ryan Dilbert asks, my guy, what is your interest level in Stardom? Potentially working with AEW like New Japan Pro Wrestling is doing. Oh boy, this is the question. This is the question, isn't it? Well, my interest level is I'm tentative. Um there's so many ways to look at this, right? I wrote an article about this, for and against. Against is like, yeah, Stardom should stick to their plan. They want to keep expanding in Japan, but but you do a big Stardom show with some AEW wrestlers, or the other way around, an AEW show with Stardom wrestlers, that gets some fans. And I think I like the idea more of Mayu Yutani, who is now the SWA World Champion, dropping in for a match and then skedaddle, right? To defend the title. I think that's better than one a super show because let's be honest, AEW doesn't have that women's roster right now, nor is it booked like that right now. I think the relationship should and can work. Obviously, they have the one with TJPW, so it might not happen. But if you're going to do it, do it right. Mayu Utani right off the bat for me. Obvious person to send over there, have a match or two. Um, I think that's how you would do it. And to follow up that, Alex asked, with rumors that Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker will be on Stardom's big year-end show, what match would you put each one in? It's a good question. It's a good question. Thunder Rosa, the AEW Women's World Champion. I'm gonna assume, maybe she's defending the title. And she'd probably win. So yeah. If she's winning, that changes a lot. I love Thunder Rosa, by the way. I just want to put that out there. She's great. She's great. Who would be a good one to have face Thunder Rosa? With or without title, maybe Julia. I think Julia and Thunder Rosa would have a really good match because they're both really good at the brawling style. And I think, the kind of fire they share at the same time that would really, really go well in that match. Yeah, I think that would be Thunder Rosa's opponent, and then Britt Baker. Britt Baker's an interesting one, right? Because obviously she's not the best in-ring technician, she's not the best in-ring wrestler. A lot of us, or including myself, is kind of tired with her reign, but credit where credit's due. Britt Baker is a big star. Um, if Britt Baker's losing, I think Mayu Iwatani works because Mayu Iwatani will give her a good match. Um, yeah, Britt Baker can't come in and win. If she's gonna come in and win, uh, uh that's the thing. Like, you don't want selfishly, I don't want her just walking in and beating a top star that they've built up so well, right? Like, you don't want that. Hmm. I could see them do Kyrie. If Kyrie were to beat Britt Baker, I think that would be cool, and that's a really big match, for the US fans who aren't necessarily Joshi fans, but they know who Kyrie is. They obviously know who Britt Baker is, so, maybe that could work. Maybe that could work. Next question. We have 2 left. From some deviant question: should Miyu Yamashita leave TJPW to get better competition? She is currently a big fish in a small pond, and should she take a step up to another promotion? I don't think she should leave TJPW, but I do think she would benefit so much from, we know she's going to the States soon. I think at the end of the month. But I don't think she should leave. I don't see her leaving. So that's like the whole thing. But if she had the ability to go to other promotions like a Sendai Girls or a Marvelous or an Ice Ribbon or a Seedling, I think that would be so great because they have so many new opponents for her that she would scrap so greatly with. So that's kind of where I'm at here. It's like I don't think she should leave, but she should get a shot. Obviously, if Miyu Yamashita was put into Stardom, she would be a megastar and she would have so many phenomenal matches, obviously. But I don't think she should leave TJPW. I think she should somehow get part of her deal where she can travel to the United States, but also other Japanese companies. You know, if Stardom's off the list, Stardom's off the list. But I think that should be the way to go. And our final question of this Q&A session, One Up Culture, Trent, my dude, you know, he's been on many shows. He was on last week's show, obviously. Where do you see the new blood shows of Stardom going in terms of development and opportunity? It's a good one to dissect, Trent. It's a good one to dissect. Where do I see them going in terms of development? I think I think they're great shows for the younger talent of Stardom to give them their own big showcase where they don't have to worry about a Utami Hayashishita or a Shuri or Julia outshining them. They kind of can just go in there and do their thing. We saw it with Miyu Amasaki versus Utami Hayashishita, but that was on purpose. This coming New Blood 2 show, you don't have that same situation. And development wise, I think it's great for Stardom wrestlers to work with other promotions wrestlers because you know everyone learns differently. So if they can kind of share the differences in the ring together, you could see how those wrestlers can evolve while also the Stardom wrestlers can evolve. I think that's so welcome development wise and opportunity. This is the path. This is the path for Stardom to continue working with other people. You know, colors is coming in, prominence is there. We hear the rumor of AEW. Now they wouldn't be part of a new blood show, but um, you know, they're working with pretty much every promotion that isn't TJPW. There's some companies also that they're not working with, but it's a great chance for them to make these relationships, for them to better these relationships so that they're no longer loners and instead they're sharing talent kind of, you know. I don't need I don't need Julia going on to a Seedling show all the time, but I do like just the idea that these talents can go back and forth because it betters the entire landscape. Listen, Stardom's got the best roster in the game. They got the best roster in the game. And if New Blood 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on creates an opportunity for them to wrestle other wrestlers outside of Stardom, then I welcome it with the most open arms. And I think that's where we're going. So that is the latest Q&A here. Number 2, the 5-star Joshi Q&A. Please make sure to check out this. Obviously, you can check out the first one, which is also on the Fight Game Media. Continue to follow me on Twitter, as you see right here, at Scott E Wrestling. That's where you can always see my tweets and always see my thoughts, articles, content, podcasts, whatever so be. Never miss a beat. Never miss a beat by following me. And I appreciate the time. I appreciate the questions. We'll be back again, you know, in 2 weeks for another edition of this show. So until next time, guys, have a good one.